In the deepest heart of Africa lies a place where the world still breathes as it did before time began. Beneath a canopy so thick that sunlight turns to twilight, something ancient moves. They call it the Congo Rainforest, a living ocean of green, stretching more than 1 million square miles, a wilderness so vast that less than 1% has ever been explored by human eyes. Here, the air hangs heavy, full of moisture, insects, and the echo of unseen life. For centuries, the people who live along its edges have spoken of things no one outside dared to believe. They tell of glowing lights that drift between the trees, of creatures that walk upright yet vanish when pursued, of screams that rise from the swamps after midnight and fade into silence as if the forest swallowed them whole. Some say they have seen apes twice the height of a man. Others whisper of a beast with the neck of a serpent and the body of an elephant that stirs the rivers when it surfaces. In the early 1980s, a small expedition ventured into the northern basin, following rumors of this creature. They never came back. Weeks later, a weathered tape surfaced at a remote station. The authorities confiscated it before anyone could listen, but one rumor remained. The final moments captured the sound of something breathing, something immense, something that should not exist. This is a place where the line between myth and reality blurs, where every shadow hides a secret, and every sound could be the last thing you ever hear. Deep inside the Congo, the forest keeps its silence, guarding what it has always guarded. And if you listen closely, you might feel it too. The heartbeat of a world the rest of us have long forgotten. The Congo rainforest stretches across the center of Africa like a dark emerald sea. It spans the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the Republic of the Congo, Cameroon, the Central African Republic, Gabon, and Equatorial Guinea. Together, they form the second largest rainforest on Earth, second only to the Amazon. Yet this forest is older, wetter, and in many places untouched. Few have seen its true depths. Even fewer have returned with proof of what lies inside. The canopy towers more than 200 feet above the ground, blocking away the sky down below. The forest floor feels like another planet. Light filters through in thin golden threads that fade before touching the soil. Every step sinks into layers of rotting leaves and roots that twist like veins through the earth. The air is thick with the scent of rain and decay, sweet and suffocating at once. Vines hang from ancient trees like curtains. Moss clings to everything, and mist rolls in low, hiding pools of black water that reflect nothing. The sound never stops. Buzzing insects, distant bird cries, the endless hum of unseen life. To walk here is to feel watched, as if the forest itself is aware of you, studying your every move. It is beautiful, yes, but there is something uneasy about its stillness. Scientists call it one of the planet's richest ecosystems. Locals call it something else entirely, a living labyrinth, a world that protects its secrets with patience and silence. Out here, time slows. The jungle decides what you see and what you never will. Step into the Congo, and the first thing you notice is the sound. It never stops. Rain falls in soft sheets that turn the leaves into drums. Frogs answer from hidden pools, their deep croaks echoing through the fog. Birds cry out with notes so sharp they pierce the air, and somewhere far off, something larger moves, snapping branches as it passes. The forest is alive with rhythm, a pulse that never fades. Each breath feels thick, heavy, with the scent of wet soil and sap. Every surface glistens. Droplets slide down vines and disappear into the dark earth. The deeper you go, the darker it gets. Sunlight breaks through in narrow shafts, slicing the mist into shards of pale gold that dance for seconds before vanishing. Beneath those beams, millions of insects shimmer like dust caught in a dream. The air vibrates with life. Wings beat near your ear. A chorus hums from every direction, and the ground itself seems to whisper underfoot. The deeper you listen, the more you realize the forest is speaking, not with words, but with a language older than any human voice, a rhythm of breath, movement, and silence. Out here, even quiet has a sound. It presses against you, patient and ancient, as if the entire jungle is waiting for you to make a mistake. This is not just a place. It is a presence, watching, breathing, and remembering every step you take. Beneath the green roof of the Congo lies a kingdom of life unlike anywhere else on Earth. Every inch, from the canopy to the river mud, holds something new, something hidden. Scientists estimate more than 10,000 plant species thrive here, nearly a third found nowhere else. Giant trees rise like pillars, roots curling over the ground like stone serpents. Orchids cling to bark high above, feeding on the mist. Even the moss glows faintly when the rain catches it at the right angle. Among the leaves and shadows move hundreds of mammals, each adapted to a world of darkness and sound. Forest elephants, smaller and quieter than their savanna cousins, carve tunnels through the undergrowth, creating paths no human could find alone. Gorillas gather in family groups, their deep eyes calm, their voices soft as they call to one another across the trees. Black leopards stalk through the low light, their coats almost invisible until a glint of gold catches the eye. Along the rivers, crocodiles drift like logs, silent and ancient. Insects fill every gap. Millions of wings shimmer, crawl and hum, forming their own cities beneath fallen leaves. Tiny frogs cling to dripping vines, and fish the size of a hand flash silver in the flooded roots. Even the soil is alive, a restless ocean of beetles, worms, and unseen creatures breaking down the forest and rebuilding it day after day. Here, life never stops. It feeds, grows, decays, and begins again in one endless cycle. This is nature at its purest, untamed, unbroken, and still beyond full understanding. But for every creature science can name, there are others that live only in whispers. Deep within the Likwala swamps, where the rivers slow and the mist never lifts, locals speak of something immense. They call it Mokele Mbembe, the one who stops the river. They say it rises from the water without warning, its neck long and sinuous like a serpent, its body thick and heavy like an elephant's, and when it moves, the current reverses. Canoes capsize. The water churns as if alive. Those who survive refuse to speak of it twice. In 1913, a German explorer named Karl Hagenbeck heard the same stories. He was so convinced they might hold truth that he sent men into the Congo, certain they would find a living dinosaur, a creature left behind by evolution itself. None found it, but footprints were reported in the mud, round and deep, the size of oil drums. Since then, expeditions have returned again and again, each leaving behind more questions than answers. Some claim to have captured faint shapes on film, ripples, shadows, something huge moving beneath the surface. One American team recorded low-frequency underwater sounds they couldn't identify. They called them unclassified biological. The nearest thing they matched came from Wales, yet the Congo lies hundreds of miles from the ocean. Skeptics point to hippos, logs, mirages, anything to explain it away. But what if the stories persist because something real keeps them alive? The locals describe the same creature across generations, across languages, across centuries. Always the same long neck, the same heavy body, the same warning: never follow it. The last known sighting came in 1980 from an expedition led by Herman Regustas. He recorded deep pulsing bellows that rolled through the swamp and vanished into static. Experts still can't explain them. Maybe it was the wind, maybe something else. Here, in the Congo, myths don't die. They linger in the water, in the air, in the eyes of those who still wait for proof. Perhaps the truth isn't in what we see, but in what the forest refuses to let us find. When night falls over the Congo, the forest glows. Small lights drift between the trees, slow and silent, as if the stars themselves have come down to wander. Locals say they are the eyes of the spirits, the souls of ancestors guiding travelers through the dark. Others call them omens, signs that the forest is watching. The lights move in pairs or clusters, weaving between branches, vanishing just as you try to follow. They're too bright to be fireflies, too smooth to be reflections. For years, scientists dismissed them as tricks of the eye, illusions born of exhaustion or fear. Then came the studies. Hundreds of species capable of bioluminescence, from glowing fungi to beetles that pulse like tiny lanterns deep under the canopy. Some of these lights synchronize, blinking in unison, like breathing. Still, not all can be explained. A few explorers carried infrared cameras into the swamps. What they captured didn't behave like insects. The light moved in long arcs, as though carried by something larger, gliding just above the ground. At Lake Tele, a Japanese research team saw ribbons of pale blue rising from the water, each leaving a faint shimmer of heat behind. The air there, they said, was 7 degrees warmer than anywhere else nearby. The locals believe those lights mark sacred paths, warning humans not to cross. Some scientists think bacteria or fungi could live symbiotically on the skin of larger animals, creating a natural glow. But the truth remains unseen. Sometimes the lights gather over the water, forming spirals that drift apart, then fade as quickly as they appeared. Whatever they are, they remind you that the forest never sleeps. Even in the blackest night, it breathes light of its own, mysterious, silent, and alive. Each year, explorers return from the Congo with discoveries that rewrite what we know about life itself. Scientists have documented dozens of new species in just the past decade, and many believe they've barely scratched the surface. Hidden in the shadows are frogs that shimmer violet under moonlight, fish that pulse with electricity, and insects that glow in colors never seen before. In 2019, biologists captured footage of a translucent frog whose skin reflected faint light, as if the animal itself were a mirror for the stars. Not long after, they found a species of catfish capable of sending electrical signals through murky water, an ancient form of communication still unknown to most science. The more they study, the stranger it gets. Evolution in the Congo seems to have followed its own rules, guided by isolation and endless moisture. Some say entire branches of life evolved here in secret. Fossil records from nearby regions hint at giants like Titanoboa, a serpent large enough to swallow crocodiles whole. Locals still tell stories of long water-dwelling creatures they call Mualan Toki, Onguma monini, huge serpents with dark scales and eyes that glow red beneath the surface. Scientists argue these are legends, distorted memories of animals long extinct. But each year, new evidence surfaces, a strange scale, an unknown sound, a blurred image, and the line between myth and biology fades a little more. In the Congo, life refuses to be defined. It simply exists, changing shape with every shadow, every ripple, every breath of wind through the trees. To those who study it, the Congo is not just a forest. It is a living organism, one that breathes, moves, and hums beneath the soil. Satellites have recorded the entire basin inhaling and exhaling with the rhythm of the day, a vast pulse of carbon and moisture that shapes the weather of half a continent. Scientists call it the green lung of Africa. The locals simply call it the forest's heartbeat. Deep below the surface, instruments have detected low vibrations that seem to come from nowhere. No tectonic movement, no volcanic activity, just a constant rumble that ebbs and flows like a sleeping creature. Drones have captured swirling columns of mist that rise and hold their shape for hours, crackling faintly with static charge. In some places, the shadows move, even when nothing else does. Travelers speak of areas where electronics fail, where compasses spin, GPS goes blind, and radios whisper with static before falling silent. Locals avoid these zones. They say the forest protects them, wrapping them in silence when strangers come too close. In 2011, geologists made an astonishing discovery: a massive subterranean river flowing almost 2.5 miles beneath the surface, stretching over 700 miles, running in the opposite direction of the Congo above. Its water was warm, thick with methane, and carried traces of microbial life no one had seen before. Organisms that may have been evolving in total darkness for millions of years. Standing above that hidden world, surrounded by fog and endless green, it's easy to believe the Congo is more than a forest. It feels alive, aware, and patient. It watches in ways science still cannot measure, keeping its oldest secrets buried where no light will ever reach. Deep inside the forest live people who have never left it. Generations of isolated tribes move quietly through the shadows, their homes hidden beneath the canopy where no roads reach. Anthropologists believe more than 20 groups still live uncontacted, protected by the forest and perhaps by choice. The Mbuti, the forest's smallest and most elusive people, have lived here for thousands of years. To them, the jungle is not a place. It is a being, sacred and alive. Their rituals echo through the trees at night. During the Molimo ceremony, the Mbuti play a long bamboo horn, a single haunting note that rises and falls like breath. They say it awakens the spirit of the forest, reminding it to keep them safe. To outsiders, it sounds like the earth itself, calling back. In 2018, satellite images showed clearings deep within a region long considered unreachable. Teams tried to approach, but the jungle closed in before they could reach it. Those who made it partway described faint trails of smoke and footprints that led nowhere. A few returned, claiming they saw figures in the mist, moving without sound, leaving no shadows behind. Locals call them the shadowless ones. Scientists call it light distortion, yet the stories persist. Some of these untouched territories overlap perfectly with the dead zones, where electronics fail. Researchers suspect magnetic interference. The tribes say the forest simply hides what it wishes to protect. Among the plants they use are leaves that can slow bleeding instantly, roots that cure infections modern medicine still struggles to treat. To them, this knowledge isn't science. It's a language passed down from the forest itself. No one knows how much of that world remains undiscovered. Perhaps that is how it should be. In a place so old, some secrets deserve to stay silent. For decades, science and belief have collided here. Every new expedition uncovers something unexplained. A print too large to match any known species, a sound too deep for any living creature, a trace of DNA that fits nowhere in the global record. Environmental DNA samples taken from remote river systems revealed genetic sequences similar to ancient reptiles, yet distinct from anything alive today. Researchers hesitate to claim discovery. Still, the data sits there, undeniable. Seismic sensors have also picked up pulses that move beneath the forest floor, rhythmic and deliberate, as if coming from a living source. No earthquake, no machine, no storm could match their pattern. Each anomaly adds another question, another reminder that the Congo's story remains incomplete. Maybe the truth lies somewhere between science and legend. Maybe the myths of the elders remember what science has forgotten. The forest keeps giving clues, but never the answers. You've just scratched the surface. Tap subscribe, and let's keep chasing the questions that make the world so strange and fascinating.